Welcome again to another edition of First Person, sponsored again by the Crystal Room in Troy at I-75 and Route 55 on West Market Street. Events perfected their motto for any event, big or small. Call them at 552-7680. Talk to Jessica Brown. You'll enjoy the convenience, you'll enjoy the amenities, their staff. But again, their location can't be beat in the heart of Miami County. For your next event, big or small, events perfected, you'll like it, call the Crystal Room. We are in Arcanum tonight to talk a little high school basketball, our first venture into basketball for the 2015 and 16 basketball season. Marcus Bixler, the head coach of the Trojans, has welcomed us in. This is a beautiful place you've got here. This is a new school, 3 years old, and I'm not running for school board or anything, but I mean, they've done this right.
They've done it very well. The facilities are awesome. The middle school facilities over at the Fieldhouse area are really nice as well, and the weight room, football area, everything's very, very nice, and they did it first class, and you know, we're lucky to be in a community like that.
I'll get some points with John Stevens for saying this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
The superintendent. Got a little bit of an echo in this gym, but you'll bear with us with that. Marcus, we've known each other for a long, long time, back to your Piqua days when you were coaching there and did the weekly radio show at the radio station, and I followed you from there to Franklin Monroe for a couple of years, and you had 2 years at Tip City. This is your second year here. You're a principal in this system now. This has been a nice journey for you personally, hasn't it?
It has been fun, and you know, growing up in Darke County and being very familiar with a lot of people on both Frank Monroe and Arcanum sides of 49, it was neat for us to come back, and it's been a great opportunity for me and my family, and they've been very welcome here, and the kids love coming Friday and Saturday nights to the basketball games, and my oldest likes coming to practice and hanging out with the guys, so it's been just a wonderful opportunity, and I feel very, very blessed to be in this position.
Let's get right to it and talk about the Arcanum Trojan basketball program, because this is a community of basketball. I mean, you go back into the 70s when Dick won the state title here. I think it was Class B or something back
69,
then.
yep.
1969, and some of the great players that have come out of here. I have to mention Dave Gray, won't I? And some people like that. Steve Christ played
yep.
here, went on to Memphis State University and played. But this is a basketball community here, and tell us a little bit about the state of Trojan basketball.
Well, in terms of the basketball community part first, it was outstanding last year. The support that we had night in and night out. You know, we were a team that finished 500, and quite frankly, we're very tickled to death to get there because we had kids work extremely hard to get to where they needed to be, and we've really closed out a really good season. But, you know, our gym was packed, and night in and night out, we had great crowds and very passionate fans, and as a result, our kids were very intense and into it and very excited about Arcanum basketball.
And plus, you have some really good rivalries. You mentioned where you are here, and I mean, basketball in Darke County has always been a popular thing. You've got FM right next door, Cry Village, down the road here in New Madison, so that helps too. You got the Ansonias and people like that. Those people travel over basketball.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely the southern part of Darke County with the Tri-Village, Frank Monroe rivalries. We have the Jet Holiday Tournament now, which is 50 plus years. It always brings out a good crowd and something that the local people take a lot of pride in. And then, we've really come up with some rivalries over in Miami County way, with Covington, with Miami East, with Bethel. It's something where it's been really, really good, and I think that's kind of the essence of small school basketball, is there is a little pride behind it, before and after the games.
We're talking here to the pride of Franklin Monroe High School and Bluffton University once upon a time.
Yep.
Marcus Bixler, our guest this week on First Person. Take a moment and relay to me. Wayne Wiseman told me one time, the coach over at Springfield South, who was a great basketball guy to talk with, he said that you don't learn to be a coach in 2 years or 3 or 4 or 5. He said, it takes a lifetime. Where are you in that period of learning to be the kind of basketball coach you want to be?
I feel like I'm to the point now where I look back on certain seasons and certain groups of guys I had, and I think to myself, man, I wish I would have known this, or I wish I would have ran this. Mm-hmm. You learn stuff, and I constantly believe if I'm not learning something new and we're trying new things and ways to improve our program, then I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting our players' times. But yeah, you look back, and I know specifically, the couple good years I had at Piqua, offensively, we struggled at times. And I look back and I'm like, man, wonder if we would have ran this, if it would have made a difference, something that I had learned down the road. So I often find myself reflecting. So I'm in, I think, the reflective stage. So I feel like I'm probably an old 35-year-old in that regards, because I constantly look back and say, we could have done that, we could have done that. And not usually just a year ago, but oftentimes I look back, 5, 6, 7 years ago and said, wow, if we just would have, if we would have played a little more zone or done something like that. But I think at the same time, too, it helps prepare me a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's not much in the game that comes by where we haven't seen in terms of a scout or what teams may do to us or what we're going to try to do. So I feel a little more confident, and as a result, I feel like I can relax a little bit more on game nights and kind of enjoy it. Let that be a player's night.
I imagine you also look back on some guys like Dave and Pete Rolfe. I mean, 6'4", 6'5" bangers that, just were – you don't get kids like that. They were at Piqua your first 2 years there. They were intimidators in that league.
They were, and even practices were probably really, really intense and physical to the point where we had to, knock off some rebounding drills about halfway through the year, because if those two went together, and there were some box outs to be had, we had some guys getting thrown in the walls and thrown on the floors. So we cleaned up the rebounding drills pretty quick in that season.
You remember things like that when you coach sure. Any sport. This is a league that gets its fair share of criticism, including on this website, in terms of football. But when it comes to basketball, I don't think they've ever won in the modern era of football. I can't remember anybody winning a state football title out of the CCC. But when it comes to basketball, it's an entirely different story, because you've got 3 state champions that I can think of. 96, Alan Mack won at Miami East. I think 2002, Steve Fisher, that was the year Steve Fisher won at Bethel. And then Sags won last year over at Tri-Village. So basketball-wise, you guys can make a claim of going anywhere in this area and playing with anybody. And I know you play some tough people out of conference.
Absolutely. We have a very tough out-of-conference schedule. We do that for a reason. We want to make sure we're always tournament ready to go and see different looks that we may not see within our conference. And, as far as the conference goes, and you and I have talked about this a couple times, it's a 13-team conference. So when you're putting 13 teams in the same conference, you're going to get your great programs, you're going to get your good programs, and then you're going to get your struggling programs. And really, with any 13 teams, there's no way around that. I think this year's a year where our lower level conference teams in years past are going to be better than what they have been. So I think it's going to make for an interesting conference season. I think you're going to see some upsets this year that maybe in the last 4 or 5 years we haven't seen. And I think that makes it exciting. And I think for our guys it's exciting because they feel like they can compete night in and night out.
And still you have the possibility at the end of the year for a couple number 1 seeds. If you look at, Tri-Village, they're going to be tougher as the year goes on in Miami East.
Absolutely, yep. I think Tri-Village, Miami East, you throw Bethel into that mix with the talent and athletes that they have there as well. And, really, it'll be an interesting league this year. I'm really excited to see
Every year they tweak the rules a little bit. And I want you to take a minute, Marcus, and bring people up to date. Are there any particular rule changes this year in basketball?
Well, they've stressed the hand checking, which they seem
they always say that.
They seem to stress every year. But I know it hasn't changed the way we do things and the way we're trying to teach our guys in which to do it. But especially in the post, they're trying to clean up some of the post play and what's allowable and what's not allowable. But again, in terms of me seeing anything during the course of scrimmages that's been any different, not really.
Probably not.
I know some illegal screening action was another big area. Now, that's one thing I have noticed a little bit. We probably got called for more illegal screens in 3 or 4 scrimmages than we did the last 2 or 3 years of playing. So, you adjust, and everything's a game-to-game basis. It's going to be called differently some nights, and you have to be able to adjust to it.
We talked with Archie Miller, the coach at Dayton, a few weeks ago, and talking about rule changes and the state of the game and the direction of the game, and he mentioned the shot clock, which is now in a college game. It's 30 seconds, and he said, frankly, I wouldn't care if they cut it to 24 or even less. He said, movement in the game. And he says that makes a more entertaining game for the fans to watch. Are you of that mind personally, and are you of the mind, too, that we are not far from seeing a shot clock in high school basketball?
Yeah, personal philosophy, I love it, because I think, you can reward your team on a good job Monday through Thursday. You get into those shot clock situations offensively and defensively, and if you get really good at preparing for those things, it's a huge advantage over teams that don't prepare for it or don't use it. Are we going to see it? I don't think so anytime soon. I think it comes down to finances And I just don't think it's something right now that's feasible for every school in the state or in the nation to be able to do. I'm all for it. I think it would be great to the game, but I don't see it anytime soon.
I have to confess, I always like to talk to this guy because it's fun to talk basketball, and I think his teams are fun to watch in basketball, and this is a great plus for the Cross County Conference to have Marcus Bixler here, and particularly for the Arcanum community, and this is a beautiful place to come watch basketball.
It is. Come back this winter.
Thanks for having us over.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wraps up this week's edition of First Person, again sponsored by the Crystal Room in Troy. Call Jessica Brown at 552-7680 or access them through their link here that you can see, their website link on PressProsMagazine.com. Events perfected, big or small, you'll like the way you're treated at the Crystal Room. Again, for the sponsors and Coach Bixler, thanks for your support of high school sports here on Press Pros, and we'll see you next time with another edition of First Person. Have a great holiday, everyone.